Let's start, though, by talking HS2 on the show this evening, because MPs have begun an inquiry into the government's controversial plan to build a new high-speed rail line from London to Birmingham, which, as we know, would run through the Warwickshire countryside. It comes as a report into the scheme says there's a degree of uncertainty about its financial benefits. Meanwhile, a provocative poster campaign is causing anger amongst opponents of the scheme, presenting them as rich toffs. Our political reporter Ellie Zaniewicka has been keeping an eye on today's developments.
Well, I suppose we should just very quickly recap on what the government wants to do. This new high-speed rail line would cost £33 billion. The first part would be from London to Birmingham, cutting journey times by about half an hour. That wouldn't be completed until 2026, and it's only after that that would be extended up to Manchester and to Leeds as well. And the government's argument is that this will bring huge benefits to the Midlands, to the North West and Yorkshire, and they even go as far as to claim that it will help to heal the whole north-south divide. But really, some of that rhetoric did come in for questioning in the Commons Transport Committee session today, because what we heard from many of the witnesses was that actually the real reason for going ahead with this new line is not so much that it's high speed, but simply that it'll free up capacity on our struggling rail network. This is Anthony Smith from the watchdog Passenger Focus.
The title high-speed rail is a bit of a misnomer in our eyes, because it seems to be better called something like big rail or new rail, and the high-speed bit is a bit of an add-on. So I think what can be done with the train and tracks, which are freed up in a sense, is just as important.
Now, that's not to suggest that there's no benefit from having a high-speed line, but I was struck by how lukewarm a lot of the support for the idea seemed to be, and some witnesses were saying that the government would be better off spending money on improving the existing rail lines. Obviously, that could happen earlier than that 2026 completion date for the Birmingham part of the scheme. I suppose the only problem for that is that it would cause much more disruption to passengers on those existing routes.
You mentioned the economic benefits, and that's the argument, isn't it, for HS2 with quicker journey times. We're any closer to find out whether HS2 will actually bring those economic benefits?
Well, it's a good question. I suppose it goes to the heart of the government's case for high speed too. Michael Roberts, who's from the Association of Train Operating Companies, was also giving evidence to MPs, and he was very clear that he believes that this scheme will bring billions of pounds of economic benefit to the UK.
Those would not materialise without the higher speeds. If one's going to build a new line, building it to a higher speed specification actually provides that greater opportunity for wider economic improvement that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Now, the Department for Transport says that high-speed rail will boost the economy by £44 billion and create 40,000 jobs in that first part up to Birmingham. But an independent report, which was published today for the Commons Transport Committee, is warning that there is a degree of uncertainty about the financial benefits of high-speed 2, and that is because they say it's very difficult to assess what sort of impact it will have in practice on the environment and also on regeneration in the Midlands. Now, in terms of the north-south divide, this report says that actually it's London that will benefit most from the scheme. It thinks it will help the Midlands as well, but it warns that may be because it actually damages the economy of other areas that are not served by the high-speed line.
Sort of about this advertising scheme then that I mentioned, essentially people who oppose HS2 are rich toffs. It's certainly got some people wound up, hasn't it?
That's right. This is a poster campaign by the Yes to High Speed 2 campaign. It started to go up in places like Manchester and Liverpool, and it shows this image of a very posh-looking older man in a bowler hat with the slogan, "Their lawns or our jobs." And I suppose it's that attempt to present opponents of the plan as southern toffs and NIMBYs that has angered a lot of people. I mean, I work around Westminster, and those kinds of chaps with bowler hats, there certainly aren't too many of them around here. I suppose what the opponents of the scheme would say is that it's not NIMBYism, but it's about trying to prevent the government from going ahead with a scheme that will cause serious environmental damage, particularly in the Chilterns and the area of outstanding natural beauty there. But it's not only the Yes to High Speed campaign that is using this kind of language of class warfare, because the Stop High Speed 2 campaign says that actually this is a fast train for fat cats, and they say it's only big business and greedy politicians who really want high speed too.
Ellie Zaniewicka reporting. Let's have a chat with Joe Rukin, who's chair of the Kenilworth Stop HS2 Action Group. Hi, Joe.
Evening, Tim.
This is all starting to get a bit personal, isn't it?
Oh, it's been like that for ages. I've been personally accused of being a liar, God knows how many times, more times than I care to remember. And the worst thing is that I get told that when I'm actually quoting from the government documents, from the HS2 limited documents. I'm apparently a petrol head. I don't even own a car. But the brilliant thing is today that you've had an independent report that's come out that has basically said more or less everything that we've been saying for the last year and a half. The economic benefits, can you prove them? No, you can't. Have you done a fair cost-benefit analysis, looked at the other options? No, you haven't. So Rod Eddington warned that that's exactly what was happening in driving high-speed rail back in 2006, that it was just strong lobbying from the advocates. They've said there's no evidence of the benefits of speed. They've said that it's unfair because there is zero detail on this Y network.
And just to be clear, Joe,
consultation about the Y network to Leeds and Manchester. They've only got plans as far as Brum.
Joe, just to be clear on this, that one of the things that you've always campaigned against is uncertainty over the economic benefit, which is obviously the main argument for HS2. Your main point of argument against it has been the economic benefit. Now, just wanted to quote you a couple of those figures that Ellie mentioned there in her report: £44 billion value to the economy and 40,000 jobs created. Put some figures on it for us.
Well, it's absolutely 44 billion worth of benefit. 38 billion of that, 88%, comes out at the end of the equation for the time value of money. They say that time is money. They've done the figures, and it comes out it's worth 38 billion according to the government, and that is based first on the idea that the entire principle of that 38 starts with the idea that no one works on trains, that every minute you spend on a train is unproductive. So if you've ever seen anyone on a laptop on a train, you're wrong as far as the government is concerned. They then put a cash value on the time you will save based on the fact that as someone who is doing a long-distance commute, you earn £70,000 a year. They then multiply that by 216% passenger growth forecast, which is 3 times what the reputable forecasts come out as, and then they times that by 60 years. Hey presto, you've got 38 billion. That's where the benefits come from. This is voodoo economics.
This word uncertainty must have been music to your ears, and you already said it pretty much has been. Is uncertainty...
The other thing I missed off with is we've always said this will benefit London. It will not benefit anywhere but London. It is just about getting more commuters into the financial district of London. That is it. Full stop. There is nothing else in this.
But is uncertainty over the economic benefits, Joe, enough to stop HS2?
We are basically making exactly the same sort of mistakes that got this country into the mess that it is in now. It is simply listening to people with vested interests, with loads of money, who are saying, this is good for us. And no, it is good for them as individual people. However, is it good for the country? No, it's not. The government's own Sustainable Development Commission said that, besides having to pay for the thing, and of course the fact that it wasn't sustainable, that they said that this will mean putting in a massive ongoing subsidy to something that only benefits the richest in society. And if you're talking about putting ongoing subsidy into into things in society, I've got a very, very long list of things that come ahead of high-speed rail, and most of those things are being cut as we speak.
Either which way, it's in no one's benefit, is it, for this to become class warfare and the campaign pro-HS2 calling people in the south to be affected by the route, such as yourself, rich toffs, and this their lawns or our jobs campaign, but equally amongst the Stop HS2 campaign as well, and launching a similar sort of campaign.
Well, no, we've said right from the start to try and make the point of this, because, and this is the thing, the facts bear out what I said. As I said, I've just quoted from the government's own Sustainable Development Commission. We have said right from the start, this is a fast train to fat cats. That's what it is. That, if you look at the passenger surveys now, you will find that the people who do the longest intercity commutes are the people who earn the most. This is who it's for, and it's connecting airports for their benefit as well. The fact is, the head of the campaign for HS2 yesterday said that everyone who opposes this lives in the southeast. Now, I don't know, but as far as I can know, CWR, you've been covering this right since the start. This is the Midlands. they have tried to make out that, we are all basically a load of rich Tory landowning Luddite NIMBYs, opposed to people who actually, like me, who thought that this was probably a good idea, and then I read the documents. I'm a single father, I'm unemployed, I'm front tooth missing, and I'm sat in Asda's car park speaking to you at the moment.
That's not very tough-like, Joe. We've got to leave it there, but thanks a lot for your time. Do appreciate it. Joe Rukin, chair of the Kenilworth Stop HS2 Action Group.